Cliffhanger. Well, that was a look at the new short film called Minatory from local filmmaker Jeffrey Wayne Pike. He's joining me on the show now to discuss his journey as a filmmaker. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That looks creepy.
Yeah, it's pretty
Congratulations
creepy.
on that.
Thank you.
That's definitely in the 35 seconds there that we saw. That
That's
really
exactly
sort of
that's exactly what I'm going for. Yeah.
Tell me about your journey as a filmmaker. When did you sort of fall in love with film?
I started at a very young age. I think I was about 10 or 11 when I first picked up my dad's big honkin' VHS camcorder and started to goof around and shoot little short films in and around my parents' house, casting my brother and friends as actors. And then as I got older, I took it a little bit more seriously. I went to film school where I learned the more technical side of things and how to edit and things like that. And then after film school, I did what most film grads have to do, is I volunteered on film sets. So I volunteered on some sets here in Toronto and down in Los Angeles as well, which was a fantastic experience for me as a producer. And then I was lucky when I got back to Toronto, I was offered a job as a production manager on a low-budget feature film. So that was great. The only problem with being a PM is you kind of have to bite your tongue if you disagree with the director's creative vision or how they're executing that vision. So it's not very creatively fulfilling. So, and I always felt like I was a creative soul. So at that point, I decided to sort of shift gears and move my career towards writing and directing my own pictures.
And where do you sort of get that creativeness from? I mean, it's one thing to love movies and want to watch them every single day of the week. It's another to pick up a camcorder and start making them yourself. So where do you think that sort of came from?
I don't know. I mean, my mom was always into craft making and things like that. And me, even as a really young kid, I was always writing little poems and drawing all the time. So I guess that's pretty much where my creativity sort of stems from.
What do you think it is about movies that are so captivating to audiences in general?
It's just an escape from reality, you know, like no matter what kind of problems you have, if the film is a great film, you can put it on and kind of forget about the issues of the day and kind of get lost in the picture, and you know, that's really what makes a great film.
Absolutely, and that's definitely what we saw there is definitely captured on screen. So it seems like you know what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Now you mentioned you saw your journey start to finish from where you've come from, where you are now. Really well-rounded. You've done a lot of stuff. Yeah. How do you get noticed though if you're from somewhere like the Peel region, kind of the outskirts of a major city? You don't necessarily have all the connections. What is sort of maybe the key for aspiring filmmakers out there wanting to get noticed?
I mean, that's the thing, is that it is hard to get noticed. You have to try to stand out from the crowd. So just the only thing I would suggest is just focus on the quality of the work and make sure you do the best that you can every time, because we only live once and chances can be limited and the opportunities can be limited. So you have to take those opportunities where you can find them.
Right. And not only that, but I mean, the film industry itself is, it's dog eat dog. It's very difficult. It's hard to break into. It's hard to stay in. Is it for everybody?
No, you definitely have to have tough skin. There can be a lot of bitter attitudes in the industry. Right. So it's important that you keep a level head and focus on your career goals. And if it's something that you really want to do and you're really passionate about, just stick to it, and eventually it's going to come for you.
Fair enough. That sounds like words of wisdom. Now let's talk about the film Minatory. Sure. Very, very dark, very creepy looking. Right. Where did the inspiration for the film come from?
Well, you know what? I was in New York attending a film festival down there, and I was sitting in a coffee shop waiting for the festival to begin, and I was kind of contemplating my career, what to do next, and I wanted to make a film that would be captivating, entertaining, and low cost at the same time. So I thought
it's a difficult mixture.
Yeah, so I figured, I would write a thriller because that's something that would be captivating, and I could do it for cheap. I can, shoot it all in one location, so that way we could cut down costs in terms of moving the camera. I mean, the crew and the cast around to different locations. Right. And the logistical issues that arise when you have to do that, we could avoid that by shooting it in one location and really focus on capturing every moment that we could and experiment with different camera angles and things like that. So that was really the focus of this picture, and I think we definitely achieved a very entertaining product with this one. Yeah,
it seems like it. And most importantly, can you tell us what it's about? Does it spoil too much to give away?
Well, I can give you a little bit of a premise. Okay. 3 teenagers decide that it would be a good idea to burglarize a house which they think is empty, which is, of course, is never a good idea to burglarize a house.
That's sort of a classic horror trope, yeah.
Yeah, so they think the house is vacant, but when they get into the house, they soon realize that they're not alone, and that's when the story gets diabolical and things start being manipulated in the house, and they're wondering what's happening, and then it goes from there. The story picks off from there.
Interesting. Do you, I mean, you know, as polished and as put together a movie of this kind of nature can be, I feel like there's a bit of a stigma with thrillers and horror films and things with ghosts, where people maybe think that it's not as serious, it's not as difficult to make as like a serious drama, that kind of thing. How do you sort of respond to that?
Well, definitely. I mean, I think it's actually a little bit more difficult. I mean, me, because I've been a little bit experienced with camera tricks and things like that, it was a little bit more easier for me to sort of experiment that way. But it's not a cheap horror where we're just relying on big bling blang bloom and flash and things like that. It's there's definitely a little bit more depth to this film, and the character, the antagonist in the film, actually has a reason for doing what she's doing. She's not just an evil character. Right. She's protecting her home, and that's her reasoning for doing what she's doing.
All right, very interesting. So. And you actually shot it here in the GTA?
That's right, yeah. We shot it in Toronto, yeah.
Was that easy for you? Was that sort of homey for you?
It's homey.
Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, in Toronto, we have, in Mississauga as well, we have so many great locations that just look great on film. And it's important to exploit those, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what's next for it? Can we pick it up somewhere?
Well, my company, New Village Filmworks, actually, we just launched our website, www.newvillagefilm.com, and it's going to be updated very regularly with different content, and we're going to keep you guys updated on what's going on with us.
Okay, well, sounds good. Well, hang around here. We'll come back in just a few short moments. Cody Schindermann, who's one of the lead actors in the film Minator, will be joining us on the couch. We'll chat with him about the experience of making the film and what it was like on set. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back on Daytime with more after this. Stick around. Welcome back to the show. If you're a horror buff, a thriller buff, anything dark and creepy, this is the show for you. Talking all about the new film Minatory, which is courtesy of Jeffrey Wayne Pike, a filmmaker from Mississauga, joining us now from before the break, and as well Cody Schindermann, one of the lead actors in the new movie. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
So Cody, tell me about the process of making a movie like this. You know, dark, creepy. Is the tone on the set when you're making a movie like this, is it as dark and ominous as the product that, you know, comes out at the end?
No, I don't think so. I think, I mean, everybody was pretty lively. Everybody was. It's funny. I mean, as soon as it's cut, as soon as the scene cuts, you fall out of that like I would say intense form of in that film, and you kind of fall back and kind of let loose a little bit because it is intense. It's a very intense short film, and it is really gory in what it does, and so I think to fall back, and when you fall back out of it, kind of gives you that release that you need. And yeah, and so the set was pretty calm off.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And what was it like working alongside Jeff? Did you guys have a good relationship on set? Was there tense moments?
Well, Jeff's really good with guidance. So I mean, that's how I like to follow with guidance. And you know, as an actor, I like to get things right. So like, what I'll do is, if I have to retake something 100 times, I'll retake it. And Jeff, I feel, is the same way. He strives for persistence and perfection. So I think in that respect, we worked really well together.
Did that bother you?
We actually don't get along at all.
Not at all.
Really
No, it shows. I can tell the distance on the couch there. Is that frustrating as a director and an actor? And if an actor wants to retake things, 10 times, and you think that the 5th take was great, but he wants to keep doing it, is that frustrating?
Not at all. I think that's great. I think that shows that he's a perfectionist and he wants to get it. And also, it gives us more room to edit when we get to post-production stage. It's always good to have as much as we can, so we can. As much coverage as we can, so we can pick and choose, how we want to take it from there.
Okay, very cool. Now, Cody, tell me about your character in the film and sort of his. Are you one of the burglars?
Yes, me and another supporting are the 2 burglars, and our job is to, of course, break into this house.
Right.
We wait for the residents to leave, and then once they leave, we go into the house, and it's supposed to be a routine break-in.
Right. A routine break-in.
Of course. Just an everyday break-in, and of course. While we're in there, he's upstairs, I'm downstairs, I hear weird things. He, of course, hears nothing. And, at times maybe I'm thinking it's in my head, maybe something just, something's just off, but I don't really realize it. So I keep doing, I keep taking what we have to do, we have to get out, and then all of a sudden just things start falling apart, things start moving. Everything that you don't want to happen on a break-in start happening, and, it kind of just formed from there.
Now, I asked Jeff earlier before the break about making a horror film versus a more serious something like a drama, and he said that it was actually more difficult to produce a good horror movie in that aspect. How is it for an actor in that sort of being in that kind of mood, that sort of tone? Is it more difficult for you to sort of be in that darker state?
Well, I think, for example, the last scene, you have to become very vulnerable.
Don't give anything away.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Or last scene, he's over there with clenched fist.
Yeah, it's very intense, and with a drama, I feel it's a different sort of intensity. Like for example, a drama is something I can more relate to.
Okay.
A horror is something that doesn't happen on an everyday occasion. So you really have to focus a lot more and really just let yourself go to the point where this is happening. You know what I mean? And I think it's somewhat more difficult in a horror than is a drama.
Right. Now, Jeff, what have you learned as a director working on this film, or maybe because it's a first-time direction for you, right?
Well, I've directed some short films in the past, yeah, but I mean, my career thus far has been fairly short.
Right.
But one thing I've definitely learned is, as a director on the set, you're going to be bombarded with questions from the cast and from the crew constantly. So it's important that you have an answer to those questions.
Okay.
For the sake of maintaining the cast and crew's confidence in the director and the integrity of the director, because otherwise, I mean, the film will suffer if they lose their confidence in the director.
I want to ask you a question that's a little bit more broad, but something that I know a lot of people wonder about is what exactly the role of a director is. I mean, everybody knows, you're the one who yells action and you sort of tell the actors where to go and what to do. But when we're watching a movie back, you can't really see what a director has done or is doing.
Well, in the pre-production stage, we'll work out the storyboards, the type of shots that we want, the shot list as well, and I'll collaborate with the cinematographer in that regard. And then beat breakdowns, we'll look at the script and decide which emotion that we want to portray with each individual section of the script. Right. And then when it comes to the set, we're just executing that. We're executing that vision completely. And that's the role of the director, is pretty much to be the captain of the ship.
Okay, so if a good movie comes out in the end, then the director's done a good job.
That's right, absolutely.
Pretty much, all right. Guys, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. Best of luck with the film. Again, it's called Minatory. You can check it out, newvillagefilms.com, right?
Newvillagefilm.com.
Film, yeah. Singular, newvillagefilm.com. Thanks to all of our guests today as well. Check out karasaga.com for all the information about that as well. We'll be back here tomorrow. I think Bridget's coming back from her cruise. She sent me a picture last night. She is very tanned, very peely, so you're not going to want to miss that. Tune in for that, and I'll be back there. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you on Friday to start your weekend and kick it off the right way. Have a good day.